Cindy Doumerc. It's so good to see you. You're a family friend, and you told me your story. We were just walking down the street here, and I had no idea because I told you I was doing this series on women that have had their children despite facing difficult circumstances. And when I heard your story, I thought it was so compelling. I think that it would be important for people to hear. So maybe you can tell me if you're open to it, like what happened and the things that happened after the event.
Well, I was 14 and I was raped. I won't go into all the details of all that, but subsequently I did end up, I was 14 and 4 months old when it happened. Um, and I remember the person, he told me, don't tell anybody because they're not going to believe you. And so I didn't tell anyone, and I just went about kind of my normal days. Is summer, school's out, young girl. We rode our bikes, went to activities, and we just played around all summer long. Our parents said go outside, go play, so we did. Um, and The fall when school started, I remember I was really sick, and nobody knew what was wrong. And ultimately, it apparently was morning sickness, but nobody put two and two together. A little bit of my background on that is that my mother was legally blind and deaf, and she did her best with us. I think she didn't really pick up on what maybe was wrong with me. I was a young teenager. I didn't go to her and tell her things. Plus, I didn't really understand at the time myself what was wrong. She was very kind of quiet. She never explained sex education to us. And so as a young girl, I didn't realize what was happening. So cut forward, a few months later, I ended up speaking to a school nurse at was in junior high, 8th grade. And she asked me, we were concerned because we noticed that you had been sick in PE class, that you had not been able to do your normal things that you were doing. And I think they may have suspected I was pregnant. I was tall and thin, so I did not really look pregnant at all. And I actually had lost weight because I had been so sick. And I ended up with the school nurse, having a test, and she asked me questions, and with the school counselor, I told them what happened. She asked me questions, and then the school counselor, they asked questions to try to, help figure out what was wrong, and I told them what happened, and they then from there, I guess they were trying to do damage control, basically, because I was only 14, and the person that raped me was older, and so
What does damage control mean? What do you mean? What were they trying to do?
well, I know that I don't really know the whole circumstances, but when they told my dad, I do remember him and my mother having an argument, and my dad was very quiet man, and he literally went to the closet and got out a gun, and my mom was holding him back at the door because he was gonna go and shoot some people.
I
He was
understand.
he was very upset, and I was crying, but I, just went in my room. I still didn't really realize the whole what was going on, and I think part of it I blocked out too. I didn't really want to,
Of course.
realize. And then here you are, 8th grade, and then this is happening. And so that there was just some issues because of the person being older. Of course, then it is considered a crime, and there was, going to be ramifications for that. Um, so that's, where my dad was left at that point. I'm not sure, he was pretty upset. And then, you know, I, I went to school, so I don't know exactly what else, I can say is there was a moment, and the school counselor talked to me about having an abortion, and I didn't really understand completely. It was like, well, I don't know how they worked this out with my parents. Nobody asked my permission. Nobody said, oh, we're going to take you to the abortion clinic. Let's just hop in the car and go do this. So just one day I ended up going with the school counselor to an abortion clinic.
Yeah, this is their idea of damage control.
I think so, because there was, like I said, criminal issues with the case. I was 14. I did not ask for it. I was, not. I wasn't like, I wasn't like a willing suspect or willingly going along with this person. But I ended up at an abortion clinic with the school counselor. And both of my parents, they never told me. I don't know the predicament. I don't know the situation. I don't know how the agreement was made. Yes, take my daughter to the abortion clinic. Yeah, we're fine with it. Go ahead. They didn't go with me. They never said anything to me about it.
Your parents?
My parents.
Wow, that's weird.
I know. So I was 14, and it was the fall, and this happened. The rape happened in June. So fast forward, just probably November, maybe. So July, August, September, October, November. It was getting colder. I had a jacket on, I know. And I was in an abortion clinic with my school counselor. And I had an exam by one of the nurses there, and they were, talking to me about what they're doing. And they did the ultrasound where they look at the baby on my stomach. And like I said, I was tall, I was thin, I did not have a big pregnant belly, but they looked, and they were, they told me that I was at least like 5 months, if not a little bit farther than 5 months. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, they're explaining to me that you're going to have a baby. And so this is what we can do. They said we can do a partial birth abortion. And they explained to me that day that they would insert a suppository that would cause me to start to go into type labor. And then I would come back in the morning, and then they would do a procedure. And because the baby was so far along already, that they would have to do the procedure where they cut the baby and basically would kill it, and then they would suck it out.
Can you stop for a second? You said that your parents weren't there. Do you know for certain that your parents knew that you were at the abortion clinic?
I don't know that they knew.
Did you ever have that conversation, like later with your
I
family?
never had that conversation. My mother never said anything about it. And my dad was very quiet. And I think when I look back on it, I think he was really upset about it, but maybe he was kind of scared to fight back, because, like I said, we were in a small town, and my family was poor. They were not educated. So they did
So
not
they thought,
have,
oh, the school knows what's best. Let's let the school handle it.
Maybe the time,
Yeah.
possibly, and because neither one of them, they didn't have a large, they didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have an ability to really fight back or say, I'm getting a lawyer, we're going to do something, we're going to do this, we're going to do whatever. They didn't say much to me. Maybe they were ashamed. Maybe they were, afraid. I'm not sure. Um, but we never really talked a lot about it. My mother and I talked about it down the road when it came to other options, but
So they told you what was going to happen, and then what did you say?
well, I was sitting there in the clinic. Um, I could feel the baby kick me, and
Wow.
it was not like a thud, a punch. It was like butterflies moving. And I remember thinking this for many, many times after that visit, several times that, this is not my fault and this is not its fault. But I'm already to this point. So I don't want to kill it. And I referred to it as it because I was young and I didn't know. I didn't say, oh, the baby or the boy or the girl. I just said it's not my fault. It's not its fault. So
Yeah, and you
why
didn't know if it was a male or a female.
why why would I do this?
Mhm.
But mostly I think I was scared when they explained to me what would happen. And I thought, but I was pretty smart. I did very well in science. I understood the baby growing, once I was like, okay, this is what's happening. But I was young also.
Yeah, you're 14 and you're in eighth grade.
I had not had like a very long history of, sex education. I didn't really understand the 9 months thing, or, I had not had partners in the past. So I did not have contraception education. We didn't have sex education classes in my little school. I think they told us about our period, and that was probably it when we were young girls. But I remember sitting there and the nurse telling me that now this may happen during the night, and this may happen, and then you're going to come back in the morning and we're going to do this and this to you. And I'm sitting there thinking, you must be crazy. Like,
There's no way.
there's no way I'm going to let you do this to me. Mostly I thought like if, and then they told me, you're like 5.5 months maybe, according to what the ultrasound shows. And you can see there's a little baby on the ultrasound and you can see it. But they didn't like to show you that very much because I think they were afraid like it's going to freak you out, or maybe you change your mind or something because you're in the abortion clinic. But I was just thinking, no, there's no way, because if I'm already 5.5 months, I'm almost there. Like I have to go to 9 months. So why would I
More than
kill it?
halfway there.
Yeah, why would I kill it? Because I feel it moving. So,
For you, I gotta say though, because I've told this story to a friend of mine, for you to have that kind of discernment at age 14, I mean, I couldn't even walk and chew gum at 14. And for you to have that kind of discernment,
well, I will just say this, that my mother, she was she was a good mom. She did the best she could, but she struggled with a lot of things. So I felt like I had to grow up a little bit fast in some
mm,
things. There were times when I looked out for my younger brother and sister in some things. Our family was kind of poor. We would go to doctors and clinics and have our checkups and our shots and vaccinations. And I remember them talking, but they really wouldn't talk to my mom a lot. They would talk to the nurses or
so
the
you would
doctors.
step in?
And I would hear the conversation and I would kind of be like, oh, okay. And I understood what they were saying. Not that I could do a whole lot about it, but my mother was like, she did the best she could. But as far as like some things, it was just like a lot of our healthcare and different issues was kind of hard. Like,
And isn't it interesting that you became an RN?
I don't know, maybe it's like, God has a plan for you, right? The book of Jeremiah says, like, I have a plan for you.
Yes.
It does. That's my daughter's favorite verse. Like, she has it tattooed on her foot.
Was it
So
Jeremiah what?
I want to. I'm not exactly sure
Okay,
to
we'll
say,
figure that out.
but yeah. So I have a plan for you
So
to
you're in
go.
there, you're in the procedural room. They're telling you all these things of what is going to happen. You're like, yeah, no. And what did you do?
So the school counselor, they were talking about they would give me a suppository and we would go check in at a hotel. And I said, no, 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 this is not, we're not doing this. And I think they were very shocked and not happy about it. So I just remember we got back in the car and we drove back to where we came from. And then I got home. I'm not sure what the conversation was between my parents and if there was a conversation because nobody asked me. So what happened, I would probably assume in the next few weeks was I was connected with a adoption center, and and they asked me would I agree to adopt my baby, and I thought about that and I was like, well, yeah. And my mother was totally against it. I remember my mother crying. She was like, no, 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 keep it, keep it. But I told my mother, Mom, you can't even take care of us. How are you going to take care of us plus a baby?
Well, you became a parent and a grown up pretty quickly in your life.
Well, I just I thought like, well, the only option is to give it to someone who can give it a life that I can't. I'm literally going to be 15 for a month about when this baby is born is what they're telling me. So I can't drive a car. I'm barely learning, algebra in school. I'm trying to make it ourselves. And my family's so poor that, they live on government assistance. So how are we supposed to take in another mouth to feed? And then I had always had dreams of where would I go in my life? What's my life going to be when I'm older? Like I would look around and see the people that lived in the really nice neighborhoods and the girls that had the nice clothes, and I was young and impressionable, and you're like, oh, that would be nice. How do they get there? So one day I would like to be there. Well, I knew that if I had a baby, like my mom couldn't even feed us, much less feed another child. And then I was going to be responsible for it too. And then myself, like I can't do that. I knew that I couldn't give the baby the life it deserved, much less trying to, obtain the life that I wanted. So I ended up living with a family that kind of sponsored me until the baby was born. So I
So,
moved out of the city I was in
mm,
to this other home in
so you
another
weren't with your
city.
parents at that time?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Well, the family that sponsored me took me in, and I was provided like the medical care and
What your
the
family could not provide, they provided for you.
um,
Is that
the
right?
adoption center provided it for me, and this family worked with them to sponsor young girls. Made
Oh,
sure that we got to our medical appointments, made sure that we were, given the things that we needed and we could continue our education while we were not in school, but we were in school, but under like a out of school program type
okay.
thing.
So then you carried to full term.
hmm Yeah, I mean, it was only a few months more. And I said I'd never really, I never really like look back and say like, oh, I was this huge pregnant person. I never, got like that. I was just kind of small, taller, thin, and it was just such a fast, like, few months over that
What was it like when you had the child?
pretty traumatic. I was young and I was scared, and I remember, talking to the woman that I lived with, and they were, we were just going over it, and they gave me a book on, what to expect and all the things, and I always laugh. I always have been a big reader, but when you read those books and you're 15 and you're like, oh my God, this is scary. But I ended up at a hospital there, and the sponsor mom went with me, but then my own mother was there too. So obviously they called my family, and she was there, and And so I gave birth and had a beautiful little baby girl.
And you saw her.
Well, I didn't see her at first. Yeah, I was young. I was scared. I think I was probably like freaking out during the birth. I was like, what the heck? And I remember the nurses, like trying to calm me down. And they gave me some medicine to my IV to chill me out a little because I was, like I said, you're 15, you're freaking out a little. And so I had her. And then I just remember, being in my hospital room, and I woke up and my mom was there. And so, obviously it was a few hours later, probably I'd been asleep. And I did, after a little bit we settled, I asked the nurse if, I could see the baby. They brought me papers to sign, and it was just a big folder of papers, like to sign these papers. And the lady was explaining to me, this is going to give up your rights. And of course, my mother, my mother was a good person, but she was very emotionally dramatic. She would scream, holler, yell. She was panicking. She was crying. No, don't sign it. Don't sign it. Keep the baby. Keep the baby. And just just made it very difficult. And I was crying, and I asked him to just bring me the baby. I wanted to see her. I hadn't even got to see her, and I don't know how long ago it had been. I don't remember, but they didn't want to bring me the baby. And I asked again, so I had to ask several times. And after a few requests, I felt like they didn't want me to see her. And I think they maybe felt like I would keep her when I saw her, because it took them a long, long time. And of course, with my mom crying and stuff and asking me to keep it, I think maybe they thought that that would persuade me to
So you
change my
kept asking
mind.
and asking and
I
asking.
had to ask 3 or 4 times. I remember I got really aggravated and I had to yell at the nurse. I said, bring me my baby.
Of
And
course.
I was very, I was 15, but I was mad. And then they brought her to me a few minutes later.
What was that like?
I mean, when I was sitting there, and they handed her to me, she just looked like a little doll, like a little baby doll that I would have played with when I was younger.
Wow, wow.
She was beautiful. She was just tiny and had, just little soft head. I remember, kissing her head, and
Oh.
just little blonde hair, and just beautiful little girl.
Did,
Very beautiful little girl.
did you name your daughter?
I did. I named her. It was on her official birth certificate. I'd rather keep that private, but I
Okay.
did name her. I named her after a good friend and my mother. So a maiden name that had fell down through the family.
Okay.
Um, but I told her when I was holding her that I did love her, but I couldn't give her the life that she deserved. And I remember saying that. And my mom was crying, like, please don't give her away. And I yelled at my mom, like, just shut up. I know my mom was a very emotional person. And I have always been very, I don't know, realistic. Life was never super easy for us. So I knew reality of, if I kept the baby, it would be really hard for her and me. Harder than it already had been.
Of course.
And I thought she was so pretty and innocent that someone that had money and time could give her that I couldn't. And that was my only thought, really, is I wasn't mad at the baby. It wasn't her fault. She was innocent, and so was I. So I didn't think that having an abortion was going to fix it. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, but I went through my school and I had her, and yeah, it was was kind of a scary experience, but when I look at it now, it was very much worth it. And I handed her back to the nurse, and I never saw her again for many, many, many years.
So full circle. What happens 18 years later, or how many years later?
I would think about her, occasionally. When her 16th birthday came around, I would wonder, is she learning to drive? Is she okay? Um, I adopted her to a family, and I never heard back. They had told me they would, send me an update once in a while, or just to let me know she's okay. But I never heard anything, and so a part of me was just like, it's meant to be. Like, she's okay, and I would just always just say a little prayer. I hope she's okay, wherever she is. I hope she's having a good life, and that was really, because I couldn't do anything else about it. I was not going to go search for her. I had written a letter, and I sent it with the adoptive family. And, I said, if you ever want to come find me, you can. I'm.
Was that when she was 18 or?
I sent the letter with her when she was a baby.
Oh, got it.
The letter just went with the adopted family, and
I wonder, did they maybe wait till she was 18 to show her that letter?
I'm not sure. I didn't ask.
Okay.
But she did have the letter, and she did come find me.
How old was she then?
That was 2014, so she was about 31 or so.
31. And what was that conversation like? And where were you when you got
Well,
that phone call?
it was I received a letter in the mail, and it was just a big envelope one day. It was in the summer, and I didn't even open it to begin with. I didn't know what it was. I just laid it on my counter with all my other mail. And it was just a fat envelope. And at the time I had 2 kids and we were busy, and I was working all the time at the hospital. So I opened up the letter, and I don't know, maybe it was, I literally, I was standing there reading it, and I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? It was the letter of, hi, this is me. And I'm looking to connect with you. And it was just a long story of her. I have the letter. It's in a special place, but so it had some information in there, how to connect with her and contact information,
And you did.
and we did. And it was in the fall, and she actually came out to where I lived, and we we met. My other 2 kids met with her, and they were very happy to know that they had a half sister, and then she has a half sister and brother.
Wow.
And so yeah, it was good.
What was that reunion like when you saw her for the first time? 30
It
at
was,
31 years of age.
well, I was just like happy to see her and know that she was okay, and that she was beautiful, smart, and doing good in life, and that she had done well so far. And it was kind of awkward at first, because you're not sure how is this going to be. I've never once thought about how she came to be, or blamed her, or any of that. I've basically put that out of my mind, because that's a different instance, and she's totally different from what happened. Those two don't connect, and I just look at her as just a beautiful part of my life now. Like, I considered like, how was she has her birth mom, and then she has her adopted mom, her mom who raised her, who's done a great job. And so I just said, I would just like to be part of your life. I'm not going to be your mother, but we can have a relationship.
And didn't she have 2 children of her own?
Well, so now I have she has 2 kids, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Wow.
So I have 2 beautiful grandchildren from her, and
Have you met them?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Yes,
you guys are connected now.
yes, very much. And
Wow.
they call
And
me.
she's married. She's happily
She's
married.
married.
Things are good for
She's
her.
doing good. And so they actually don't live that far from us, a couple hours. So we get to spend time with them,
What? This
talk on
is
the phone.
fantastic.
And so it's worked out great, you know. And I always told her, I just want to be a part of your life, however you'll let me be, and however is comfortable for us. You know, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, her adopted mother's toes. I'm not looking to take over any relationship. I'm not your mom. I'm your birth mom, and then we can coexist and we have a great friendship. We talk. The grandkids are awesome, and as they get older, she'll tell the story to them, and they'll understand. Things happen, and I'm thankful every day, basically, that she's here because, I mean, she's a good person, and those grandkids are awesome, awesome little kids. They're as sweet as ever.
What a wonderful testimony. What would you tell people that are considering aborting their child and they just are like you? They don't know. They're confused. What would you tell them?
Well, I mean, I was scared and I was confused too, and I feel like there are other options, and that sometimes you have to kind of step back from the emotion and what you're going through at that moment, because emotions are hard to deal with. Things that happen that are out of our control. I always feel though that the universe has a plan for us, and that plan is maybe something that we don't understand, but that I think as a nurse that I am pro-life, but also I know that people are going to make their choices. And so I fully respect women's choices. I am an advocate for patients and medical autonomy. So I understand, but I would say to young girls and women who are in a place and they don't know what to do, um, think about it. The the emotions that you're going through, what's maybe happened, kind of disconnect from there's a life that, you know, the universe can use to, how do I say, there's a life that could be there that's really going to be a gift for others. Because had I aborted her, then her wonderful husband would not have her, and those beautiful kids would not be here. And all of the lives that she's touched, they would have never have known what a good person she is. And she is very caring and kind and smart and beautiful. And that had I not give her a chance, I think, what would my life be like? I would look back and be like, wow, I had that abortion, but now I have so much more to be thankful for than to take that moment, a bad thing that happened, and then to make it another bad thing, instead of letting the opportunity for a wonderful life to be here. So I would just say, think think hard about what you're going to do before you do it in a rush of emotion, because emotions are powerful, and letting our emotions rule us sometimes, it can be, we can have some consequences from that also. And it is not easy to carry a baby to term, but or if you are that woman who's going to do that and you want to give it up for adoption, there are couples out there that would love to have the opportunity to raise a baby, that maybe they can't have a baby. So there is always, another alternative to an abortion, because, I say the God of the universe has a plan for all of us. We may not know what it is, but we have to trust in it sometimes. And look beyond our emotions of the moment and find, that ability to think about what could be. And that also, the innocent baby, it's not a guilty party. It's innocent. It didn't ask for this. It's it's just wanting to live its life. So as God willing, then live and let live. But we have to give it a chance. We have to give the innocent baby a chance.
Thank you so much. This is an amazing testimony. Thank you for coming forward. I know it may not have been easy for you to get through all that, but thank you for sharing this beautiful story.
You're welcome. I hope someone can use it, maybe think about another option before they just decide ultimately to have an abortion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.